Welcome to Collective Konversations. It's a dialogue-driven platform exploring community, consciousness, and collective power. I'm Dr. Robert Britton III, a business educator, and this is where scholars, leaders, coaches, and change agents are going to come together and move beyond the talk. They're going to build with us. Today's guest is someone special to me that embodies purpose in action. Dr. Latoya Anthony is a business scholar, an entrepreneur, and the founder of Pause. And the founder of Purposefully Made. She brings together leadership, faith, strategy, and sisterhood to help women walk boldly in who they're called to be. Beyond the titles, she brings the ability to be a thought partner, a builder of community, and someone who believes deeply in the intentional connection. I'm excited for this here conversation because this is my girl, y'all. So I'm excited to have Dr. Anthony. What's up, Dr. Anthony? How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Oh man, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It is so hard to introduce you because you are like all the things, girl. So I want to make sure that you know that. And I am so honored to have you. I know that that was all like formal, but everybody's like, yo, he's going to get through the formal stuff and he's going to actually be himself. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Collective Conversations. And I'm so excited to have you. So I want to jump right in. I'm going to ask you the number one question that we always ask everyone is, what are your thoughts on conversations?
Ooh, conversations. Well, conversations matter. Um, it's when real life gets handled, so nothing is resolved without discussion. When you think of like the complete opposite as inside, it creates confusion and assumptions. So, which that can turn out to be small issues, that could actually turn into one or bigger issues. And I think that in terms of conversations are how we respect and how respect is built, if that makes sense. So it's how you check in. It's how you clear the air. It sets boundaries. It keeps it honest. They aren't always comfortable, but they're necessary. Especially if you want real connection. So with real connections, conversations matter because it fosters real growth and real peace in people, with conversations. So good conversations change the energy in the rooms. They stop things from boiling over. It helps people feel seen. It lets everyone move forward instead of staying stuck. So whether it's with family, whether it's relationships, business, leadership, if you're having conversations, you're not guessing. And bottom line, they are optional, but they're how we understand each other. And when we move smarter, we can grow together through conversations.
Yes, that is dope. That's the answer that I love to hear. Once again, there is no plug into what the answer should be, but I'm excited that that's what you said, and it breeds genuine connections. That's ultimately what we're trying to do here. We want to bring all different people from all different walks of life to come in to have a conversation. And I had to get you. Like, I don't know if it was the booking agent or how I had to get a hold of you, but I had to get a hold of you because you and I had some really, really good conversations via discussion board.
Yes.
Because we were in a doctorate program together and our hands were clicking and clacking, two discussion boards a week, two responses a week, and then we had to make sure we had do our papers. So I remember having that dialogue with you, and it was awesome that we were able to keep up. So just tell us a little bit more about yourself and about your platform.
Okay, so Purposely Made was actually birthed through our program, and what's interesting is, when we talk about change management, we get into that social change. And I did not want to incorporate anything that was standard or, anything that was touched on. And I found in my experience, in my professional and personal experience, in my professional and personal relationships, there are so many women through all walks of life that do not have that space, that comfortable space to let go and be vulnerable, So sure, there's, your therapy moments and things like that, but sometimes it just takes really just that grit of community, that those like-minded people, or women to sit with, cry with, talk with, laugh with, network with, so especially in the area and space that I'm in, you don't see it. You don't hear about it. It's kind of taboo. It's kind of like, you don't want, especially with professional women, you don't want to seem weak, to talk or to say, hey, I'm not doing good right now. Hey, I need a moment, I need to step back, as wives, mothers, professionals, leaders, we take a lot on, so we just need a space to really, really talk about it. And then if you're not in a space of where you don't really know what your purpose is in life, this is a space where you can, talk with and rally with others who are in that same space. So it's a networking community based off of authenticity, to empower women, just to cut those or break those generational cycles. It's authentic. You are there to belong. And I tie in the spiritual connection to it because I am a very spiritual person. And I feel that your purpose is directly connected to God. So you can't really understand where you're going until you know who you are. So that's where we align that.
I love that. I love that. And I just posted something on Facebook, kind of the same deal, but for
Mhm.
men. Like, I
Mm.
was going through my program, the same thing, and I'm realizing as I am looking at things like change management, looking
Yeah.
at things like engagement and trust and personal well-being and job satisfaction, I'm thinking to myself, like, where's the human element of this, right? And
Yes.
so as we're doing all of this work, we're like, oh, there is a human element to this component, and that's what our program was about. It was more moving away from the theory and moving towards the practice, and like, how do you practice with people?
Hmm.
The scary part about this is when you get done, you're like, what do I do next? And a lot of people are like, hold on, I'm not supposed to talk, or I'm not supposed to feel, or I'm not supposed to do this. And you're like, yes, you are. So I am so excited that you have that platform because women need that, right?
Hmm.
And just as well as men need that, we need places where we can go and not be these cogs on the wheel, or not be this thing that just shows up to 9 to 5. And I think I read something, it was like anywhere between 74 to 80% of your life is spent at work,
Yes,
right? So if it's spent in a professional space, where are these professional spaces for people to be themselves? So
absolutely.
I'm super excited about your platform, and this is a perfect place to have this conversation. You talked about a little bit about building community.
Mhm.
What does community mean to you beyond that, on just the word community?
So community, it is, it's funny because I look at where I grew up. I grew up in Oakland, and Oakland has a rhythm, a resistance. It has a like sense of responsibility, right? And growing up in Oakland, it taught me that leadership is collective and not competitive, right? And oftentimes you need that community that's going to be there to support you, and also for you to be a steward of that community as well. It is a lot different from where I am now. I'm in the Midwest now, right? So it almost feels as if community is optional where I am. But in Oakland, it just feels like community that's a part of the culture. So you lean on each other. There's a balance. You show up for each other. It's unapologetic, and there's a truth that goes along in that. So there's a foundation that's shaped. within that community. And you need that support, you need that foundation, you need like-minded people in order to build and in what I would consider like kingdom building. It's very important. And I don't think humanity can survive without it.
I love that. And one of the things that I'm really leaning on is improving humanity. So
Mhm.
what I like to do is every year I don't do New Year's resolutions. I love to like a New Year's phrase or a New Year's word or theme.
Mhm.
And what I do is I try to break it down into quarters so that it's manageable.
Mhm.
And so one of my main themes this year is go first.
Okay.
And as going first is like, hey, I'm not going to wait on anybody. I'm not going to be apologetic about going first. I'm just going to step out there and go first.
Yeah.
As you know, I've been bugging our group, our doctorate group about like, hey, listen, I got something, an idea, something I'm working with.
Yeah.
I'm going first on this. And we'll dive in that in just a minute. But at the same time, it's like go first. But the other part of the go first is first quarter. It's all about improving humanity.
Okay.
Like actually talk to people. Like
Yes.
say hello. One of guests came on and said, if I could leave anybody in this conversation with something, be kind to one another.
Mhm.
Right? Kindness costs you nothing, but the rewards are great. So
Yes.
the idea is you don't have to pay to be kind, but you being kind to someone might make you feel better in that moment, or
Yeah.
it might open up a door. So I'm excited those things that we're leaning into, and I am so like I'm so happy to hear your take on your where you grew up and saying like this is a rhythm, and this rhythm shouldn't be put in one bottled up area. We should,
Right.
embody it and push it out to others. So that's exciting. And I know I'm not gonna spill the beans, but I know you're part of a sisterhood. So I want to know, what role has sisterhood played in your personal and professional growth?
Oh gosh, can you tell what sisterhood I'm about? I'm a part of.
Well, if
Um,
I told you, it would be a little bit blushing. So I'm not gonna tell you, but I'll let you tell me.
yeah.
But
Sisterhood, it's funny because when we join our organizations, right? There's always that, oh, I'll just speak for, for the women. It's a great space to form a bond, right? Especially if you're someone who did not, wasn't raised with sisters, right? Or biological sisters or anything like that. So this is a area or space where you can meet and grow with like-minded women. Sisterhood is I am a part of the illustrious Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Yes, thank you. We are approaching 118 years of service and sisterhood this January 15th. But it has been a anchor and amplify, you know, for me. Um, Personally, it has held me when I couldn't hold myself or when I'm traveling through the world, right? You leave your family, go off into the world, but the sisterhood, the professionalism, the networking opportunity, there's a world of women out there that's ready to open their doors to you, and to place you in rooms, even whisper your name in rooms that you may not have even thought about entering, right? So it's that collaboration, that always outperforms, any type of competition when you are thinking of sisterhood. It corrects you with love, it celebrates you with joy, it covers you in prayer and in strategy. So it is a gift. It is a gift to be a part of a sisterhood, and it should not be taken lightly, in my opinion.
well, I'm definitely writing some of those things down. So I love the bit where you said anchor and amplifier, and the whispering in the rooms that you may not be in, and then covers you with prayer and strategy. Like, I had to write those down because I'm like, yo, like that's exactly what a community does, right? Or a community should be. And if a community is not doing it for you, right,
Yeah.
you might not be in the right community.
Yeah.
And, people that didn't grow up in those communities, or people that moved around. I was brat myself, and I moved around, and I was in this neighborhood one year, and then the next neighborhood the next year, and this neighborhood. So it was always this like disconnect. And then when I was able to connect with my community, that's when it got a lot better for me. And then as I've traveled along in adulthood, it's gotten even better.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to tap into, because when you say those community does all, or those communities do all those things, I definitely want to tap in what type of person it takes to be in those community, because iron sharpens iron. So if someone's doing it for you, you would hope to be doing it for someone else. So you have to
Yeah.
be a certain type of person to in that community. And that's where I want to shift this. I want to shift this into like an inward focus here.
Okay.
So you're very intentional about purpose and alignment, obviously with your platform. How did the awareness develop for you?
You know what? That's a great question. I think sometimes it can look as if it's filling a void, right? Um, but the development of it was I pretty much just tapped into the area that mean the most to me, and that I'm just a supporter at heart. That's sort of like my love language, right? And so what areas do I want to serve in, that not only will encourage others, but will also bring some joy to my life, to where I can really just intentionally and authentically what I love to do, So the development in that, just it was really simple. I just kind of just tapped into the areas that meant the most to me, and that well, HR is my background, so I'm often the liaison of bridging and connecting, whether it's relations, serving and troubleshooting and things like that, consulting background. So it all just connects, but I want it to be more on a human side versus, a strategic side, if that makes sense. So,
No, that makes so much sense. And I love how you gave us some insight into how going back to get your doctorate degree really put your platform together and
mhm.
really made it cohesive and aligned it. So I want to tap into that, because I can just tell you're a bubble of joy. You're one of the first people I connected with in residency. So I'm just like, oh, like that's my dog. It's like you could ask me any question day or night, and it could be like, hey, listen, I am struggling with this Six Sigma today, or I'm struggling with this SPSS. Like, please help, and I'm there to help you, just because I know the help is reciprocated if I needed it as well. And you've done that for me for sure. But what did earning your doctorate degree teach you about yourself,
Mhm.
personally and professionally? Like, what did earning that higher degree and going back and getting that terminal degree, what did it do for you personally and professionally, and then also for the platform?
Ooh, pursuing my doctorate was probably one of the rigorous yet refining seasons of my life.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Research is the name of the game. We know that, right?
Right.
But the research, the writing, the critical thinking, but more than anything, it has taught emotional discipline. And, again, having to juggle life, and then pour into this extra, which has always been an aspiration for me, um, being stretched in many different areas. There were nights where it was bad. I mean, I'm just, you know, but I'm a person like when I start something, I have to finish it. I did not want to take time off, which, hey, if that works for you, that works for you. For anyone who is considering um, moving forward in that direction, do what works for you, right? But I am a person that I had to just push through, you know. It just there were days where I felt just invisible, you know, in rooms. And it's just I had to finish. I had to really just again it kind of brought me back to just, those early days in undergrad and when you
No,
have to
I get
push
it.
pull, you know.
Yes, yeah.
So I just kept showing up. I just kept showing up. And I wasn't going to give up. So as soon as I planted that and embedded that in my mind, there was no turning back. There was no giving up. And I really learned that perseverance is not really about doubting yourself. It's about continuing through the doubt. It
Oh,
reminded me, to ask for help because I am one that has shied away from asking for help. I don't know if it's the Capricorn in me, that
Capricorn season. Oh, wow.
yeah. Yes, where we tend try to figure it out on our own all the time. And I think this journey has taught me that I cannot do that. I can't just figure it out on my own. I have to ask questions. I have to ask for help. And to be honest with you, this cohort, and our community really supported me through that. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. And you leaned on emotional discipline and emotional
mhm,
intelligence and emotional maturity. And part of that is being able to seek help and
mhm,
get that you might not know the answer.
mm-mm,
And your answer might not be right.
right.
And so I had our community, which I am so thankful for, and I love my community, and I try to give back as much as I can. So even though I'm finished, I know a lot of people are still asking questions. I try to show up in that community when I can. But I
Mhm,
can also tell you that another space is I had a couple of mentors that had already been doctors
mhm,
for a minute and had already chaired some dissertations. And one thing that I got from them was they're they're trying to see if you can be your colleague.
yes.
And when that was given to me, I was like, I showed up different. I showed up a whole
Clicked.
different, a
It
whole
just
different
clicked.
person. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not your student. I'm your colleague.
Yes.
You're yes, you might be mentoring me through the process, but you're actually trying to see if I can be part of your brotherhood or your
Yeah.
sisterhood or your community. Can I show up and bring, my expertise to the space?
Mhm.
And so when that happened, I was like, wow. And then from there, my journaling got better. I
Yes.
started writing books.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, like, what is going on? But that's when it was like, oh man, it like clicked for me. So I love when emotional discipline and I talk and perseverance and I talk all the time emotional maturity and
Mhm.
resilience. Like like just showing up is
Mhm.
important. I said this in an earlier episode. I talked about the ability is availability,
Mhm.
and if you can give your best and be available,
Yeah.
that can really be the ability that you step into something. So when I went to that mentorship session, and they told me like, hey, like don't take it personal, but they're just trying to see if you can be their colleague. I was like,
Yeah. It
okay,
clicked. That
yeah,
that that
for
it just
sure,
clicked. Once I knew because we tend this is a new space. This was a new space for us, right?
right,
And so we're like, okay, we're students.
right.
No,
No,
we're
that's not
not.
it. That's not it. They're like, yo,
No,
you
no.
might be students for 101 or I guess it's
Right.
8600,
Right.
8601, right? Like you might be a student there, but after that, no,
Mm-mm.
no,
No,
you are the colleague.
no.
And so I'm so glad that you said that because this actually prompts my next question.
Hmm.
How do you stay grounded when your vision keeps expanding? You talked about stretching, like
Hmm.
getting a doctor, getting a terminal degree, getting that last leap and that last letter that really, ultimately opens just a whole crazy world for you. How do you stay grounded when the vision keeps expanding?
Ooh, that I think that is so important to reflect. Um, Honestly. I have to set boundaries, and I have to do self reflection. And so my visions, I'm so ambitious, right? And my visions can become very big.
Mm.
But I'm not trying to burn myself out, in the process. And again, that goes back to the development of my platform, is because there were moments where I'm just going, I'm dreaming, I'm just like, wait a minute, and then life happens and, that may slow you down. But where is that community that I can sit in to kind of talk about, what I'm dealing with, or just having that dialogue with others if they're if they're in that same space. So just really vision check-ins, with myself, and I'll probably do that, quarterly, I'll just block off some time if I need to go take a trip somewhere, or if just need to, reflect or just regroup, rebuild, because, we can get depleted at times. So it's really just checking the energy levels, and then am I building something sustainable or just something impressive? And I don't necessarily want that to be the case. I want it to be sustainable. I want it to reach as far as it can go, and impact more lives than I can count.
Oh, wow. Wow, let me take a breather here. Oh my gosh. What? Oh man, that's awesome. Vision check-ins, reflections, takes the trips to the beach,
Mm-hmm.
to the sand, to the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Is there anything that is specific that you do for realignment? Like, is there like do you have a mantra? Do you have a certain structure? Is there anything that you want to share that, maybe we can take from you?
So you know what I recently started doing? Well, so my stress is dancing or karaoke, right? I love karaoke.
Wow. Wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
Okay.
karaoke. That
All right.
karaoke, I'm there. But also movement, just movement. I have to move around. I have to kind of like get outdoors. My workout would be just like outdoorsy, dancing. So those are things that'll kind of get the blood flowing and the mind turning, and or relaxed. But recently I started journaling. And I love affirmation books. I always have that, but more so affirmations of my own. And so I've been just writing a lot, and it's funny because I've been receiving a lot of journals. It's so like as little, little gifts and things like that, but I just love it. So journaling is what I've been doing recently. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So I started journaling 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and it's been like amazing for me. And I would say that I was going to school to get a PhD to extend a organizational change model.
Mm,
So this is something that may be future research. I don't know. Somebody might take it from me, whatever. I don't care. I'm not going back to school, so you can have it. But the idea was that there is a model for organizational change called ADKAR.
mm,
So it's awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and then reinforcement. Well, the thing about when an organization changes, the reinforcement is what gets is the lax. Once they have it going and it goes in their way and people start filling their pockets of money,
uh-huh.
reinforcement doesn't really come around a lot. And they don't reinforce what they changed to continue to build the culture. So as I'm reading up on this change model, I'm like, when I look at an organization and all these things that connect, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, we have a human body that's a collection of organs. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, we're a living organism. So just like a CEO, your brain is the CEO. And just like a COO, your heart is the COO. When
Uh-huh.
your CEO and your COO is aligned, your hands and feet follow. So here is the extension of that model. The extension of the model is how do you help organizations continue to reinforce? Well, I
Mm,
created a 5 step R model that goes like this. It's reflect. So
mhm,
reflect on what you've done. Make sure that you're constantly in a state of reflection. Then recognize. what went good, what went bad.
Mm-hmm.
Then you reward yourself for the good because that connects to happiness, which happiness connects to consistency and sustainability.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, you release the things that you don't want. So get rid of
Mm.
the things that you don't want. And then you reinforce again. So that's really how that works. So
Yeah.
that's how I do my journaling. So if I'm journaling, I might be in a season of reflection. I might
Mm-hmm.
be in a season of recognition. I might be in a season of, you know what, reward. And that drives people nuts, trust me, because they're like, oh my gosh, are you humble enough? Or do you talk about yourself enough? And I'm like, listen, I'm rewarding myself. I just wrote a book. Hey, watch this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But reward because that builds happiness. And then get rid of. So release. Release
Yes.
what don't work. And that's something I love about this process, because once you release, then you just reinforce the good stuff. And
Mhm.
that's how you build sustainability. You build sustainability faster.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things that I use for realignment. And I definitely want to share with anybody that does journal, because
Mhm.
key that is such a that's such a key opportunity to actually, like, put your purpose on paper and to get clear about your vision.
Mhm.
And if your vision's not there, you can realign your vision. You can recognize what works for you and what doesn't work for you. You can do all different types of things when you put it down on paper. So we've talked a lot about, community. We've talked a lot about, you know, how you built yourself up. Now what I want to know is about this collective energy, this impact, helping people beyond yourself. And so through your platform,
Mhm.
Purposefully Made, you've created more than just the brand, right? And I didn't know much about it, but as getting ready and prepared for you to be on the platform, I really wanted to dive in to say, okay, what is Dr. Anthony has made?
Mhm.
And this is more than a brand. This is a movement. This is something that can be like explosive. And I'm 100% behind this as much as possible, as much as you need me to support you.
I appreciate that.
When you've created this, it has turned into a movement.
Hmm.
Why does collective power matter so much to you?
So I know what it's like to be powerful and alone, and still feel overwhelmed, right? The individual power can only make so much noise, right? But collective power creates a beautiful change, if that makes sense. Purposely Made wasn't birthed to just be another brand, but a space where women can bring their stories, their leadership, not to compete, but to co-build. So it's more so we're all building together in whatever area that's lacking, you know. Everyone have their strengths, everyone have their ministry. So I've seen firsthand what happens when women support one another. It becomes transformational, especially when that support isn't rooted in obligation but in intentionality. So take, for instance, our Greek letter organization. We are technically required to serve, in order to remain active members, right? But when women choose to show up not because it's required, but because there's a genuine that you want to pour out to others, that's where the real connections happen, right? So that's the kind of intentional support that creates safe spaces. And it also invites a vulnerability and authenticity, a level of growth, where it's no longer just about checking a box or a requirement, but building something special and sacred together. So, being a woman with big dreams and, and juggling roles, again, wife, mother, leader, entrepreneur, all that good stuff, it isn't easy. And so, the platform is a space to really breathe, restore, realign with faith, work smarter, not harder. And with it all, to have that grace and collective support.
I love that. And I want to lean here a little bit more. So Dr. Anthony, you and I were part of the original OGs of the Walden DBA
Yeah.
WhatsApp app.
Yes.
And why? Because we're all on a collective seminar for a weekend,
Uh-huh.
and we're just our mind is blown. Like, what is going on? What did we sign up for? And they're just throwing things at us 100 miles an hour. And we finally said, you know what? Hold up. We've got to get to a place where we could work together and get through this and support each other.
Yes.
So we were one of the OGs, and we now that we both of us have finished, we stayed connected, and we've stayed connected, and we stayed helping others. Iron sharpens iron. What do you think staying connected like that in that type of group helps your platform in staying connected with groups educate or beyond your education?
Well, it's good to build relationships, and again, we're all coming from a space resilience, through this program. And so there's a collective understanding, so it's a like-minded community. And so I think that's just important. You can learn something from everyone, especially when you have gone through something with those people, with that community. So I think these are relationships that we will be connected to, whether the relationships are fostered, you know, long term or not. We can all say to each other, hey, we've experienced this, together. So I think it's necessary. I think it's important. I think it should sustain.
Right. Are you getting ready to do a winter graduation, or are you doing a summer graduation?
I'm doing winter, so I'll
Okay,
be
so you're
there.
gonna be like, so when you get there, just be like, oh, goes my battle scars. Listen, because that's what I did. I have mom up there like, that's my bad.
Yeah,
All right, you
yeah,
listen, and then you gotta send out in the group chat, you've got to send out the graduation link so that we can
I
screen
will.
record, because
I will.
that was dope. So in my group with my boys, they
Uh-huh.
screen recorded while I was walking across. So when they call my name, they
Uh-huh.
have like the live camera action of me coming up. So you
Yeah,
got to do that. So I
I
want to
sure
make sure
will.
that I stay on you about that.
Yeah.
But how can collective power not just change organizations? I think that we got that a lot while we were when we were
Mhm.
going through. That was a question on every assignment. Think past the organization. Think about society and think
Mhm.
about social change. So, how does collective power not just change organizations but change families and future generations?
Well, it all goes back to conversations. I think that's where it all starts. So when the culture start the conversations, that's where like legacy starts in the community. So when we heal as a community together and build, it doesn't stop at the office. It's a ripple within your homes. So I've seen moms, start showing up differently for their daughters after being in circles of women who reminded them of their worth. I've seen women launch nonprofit businesses and movements, and not just for profit, but for impact. So that collective creates spaces, wholeness becomes normalized. That shifts how we raise, how we advocate for equity, how we define leadership in our communities. So this is a generation where we are breaking cycles. So
I love it. And if anybody wants to connect with your platform, how would they do that?
purposefullymade.com. So that's my
Okay.
website. I am on social media platforms. Dr. Latoya Anthony on Instagram, also purposefully.made on Instagram as well. Spelled PHER, POSEFULLY.
Listen, we gotta keep you connected. But no, that is amazing, and I
Yeah.
know that tons of women that are going to be able to latch on to the community, and even if they are unable to get directly to the community, I know that they can get to you and start to follow and, just get some of that hype. Because a lot of, people that I've seen, and I'm in the social media space as well, a lot of people are watching. Right. And they say that all the time, like, I see you, I see you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
with that being said, I know women really glean from that light. But then if they do take that faith step and get into community, they'll see, exponentially things that can happen in their life. Big question here.
Yes.
And this is going to be the last question I have for you tonight. But I want you to really pour into it, because I know how much it means to be an agent for change. What do you hope women feel or believe differently because what you do exists?
That it's okay, to be human. It's okay to stop. It's okay to take time. It's okay to be soft. It's okay to feel. Really, that it's okay. Whatever that means to you, it's okay. And I don't know how much more I can expand on that. It all starts with, again, with that emotion, that we are. It's a natural thing that we have, but it's also something that has been embedded in us that we had to bury. So through life, we have to show up a lot harder than it is, unfortunately, for men, in our jobs. We pour and are stretched very thin in our home, because that's our nurturing spirit. So there's value in women, and I think that's important for us to know, again, because at one point it was. I think with the woes of the world, everything is just so chaotic right now. It's kind of, we want to bring it really back in, to what makes humanity humanity.
Wow. It's okay.
It's
It's
okay.
okay. I love it. I love it. Well, listen, this is where we're going to wrap this up. This conversation just reminds us that purpose grows in community, and awareness shapes leadership, and collective power changes lives. This is Collective Conversations, where communities, consciousness, and collective power are all brought together, and we meet and we do it again. Thank you, Dr. Anthony. I appreciate you so much.
Thank
And
you.
anybody wants to connect with her, please connect with Dr. Anthony when you can.
Yes. Thank you
You have
so
a
much.
wonderful evening. Thank you.
You too.
I'll probably lay down something. You is fine. So I'll have to drive. Mark here.
Yeah.
So keep it PG.
Yeah.